the resolution of a story. A very important part of any story is the resolution. Now that you have taken the audience through a journey of building up the tension, it all comes down to the resolution. Something has shifted, an insight is gained. How will you land your arc? How will you illustrate how you have changed? Emotions. Throughout the story, the overarching element to glue it all together is the emotion. I love this quote from the book. We are emotional beings. We feel nostalgic about people and places, sentimental about childhood. We cry at weddings and revel in surprise. We love passionately and mourn deeply. Beyond the eloquent and invisible construction of the story, emotion is a glue that connects the storyteller and listeners. Good stories, think of your favorite movies or epic movies, take listeners through a range of emotions. Structure. Now it's time to structure the story. There are 5 clear types of structure to a story. It's very similar to movie structure. Next time you watch a movie, identify which structure is being used. The first way is chronological. This is definitely the most straightforward way to tell your story. It works best, especially if you have a twist that you do not want to reveal, like a whodunit or a mystery novel. It takes the audience through the story as how you, the storyteller, has experienced it. The second type is flashback. Now, flashback can be tricky, so there are a few questions to keep in mind. Does the flashback help the story move forward? Does the flashback add essential details? Does the time jumping back and forth disrupt the flow? The 3 types of flashback are the classic flashback, where before a compelling moment, you would pause the story and flashback to provide context. Second type is the cliffhanger, where you open with an important scene, then flashback to the beginning to tell the story chronologically. Multiple flashbacks is where you can weave multiple flashbacks into the story. Another type is the callback. The callback is used as a framing in the story. You will open with a meaningful scene and then call back to it at the end. Now, the next very interesting structure you can use is using a smaller story to carry the weight of a larger story. This is used when the large story is hard to relate to. Then you would use a more human and relatable story to demonstrate that how you were affected by the large story. In the book, there is a really convincing story about the Hiroshima nuclear bomb, where the storyteller actually tells the story of how his restaurant was affected instead of how Hiroshima affected him. Definitely check that out. The last type is choose a unique lens to tell the story through a lens of your young self or any unique angle you would like to take the story through. The beginnings should really keep the audience thinking, what happens next? The ending must make the audience feel satisfied. The 3 types of endings are earned endings, which are the heroine of the story, which is you, have worked very hard and have deserved this ending. The second type is stating your change. So you are showing the audience how you have changed because of this story. Or the last way is to answer the central question or conflict. By the end of this process, you'll have a diamond that is your story. So that's it, and I hope you enjoyed the book and found this visual summary useful. side note from the producers. You may have feel that the story is not special or that everyone goes through the same experience that you do. But the Moth producers have an advice is that to always ask, what was unique to my experience? Why am I the only person who can tell this story? How can I best deliver my story to an audience who may not have lived through the same thing? My application with this book is that it encouraged me to keep a log of the character and people in my life. Over the years, even though my memory has filtered out all the unnecessary details, I merely have an idea of a person, so keeping a log is a really good reminder for me to have. And through this book, I've learned the lens I see them through, and my interactions with each character is super unique. I also keep logs of my daily life, things that I consider anecdotes, because who knows, one day they may turn into a story. I also keep a library called Homework for Life. It's an exercise and daily habit that was started by reading the story-worthy book by Matthew Dix. He's also a Moth storyteller champion. When I watch movie now, I also notice how they begin and end the movie and how the characters are painted, how the movie is structured. It's a little fun game that I play with myself when I'm watching movie and making me feeling productive as well. This book was a really great book with lots of real-life story examples, which I didn't really have the time to go through. But it was very useful for me to inspire my stories and bring them to life. I definitely recommend this book. And some of you may have read Storyworthy. There are some similarities between these books because Matthew Dix originated from the Moth and he is a very frequent contester. But I think this book is a good reminder of what Matt mentioned in his book. It also has a lot of examples from different angles and would be definitely a good addition to your library. I really enjoyed this book, but I would prefer to read Storyworthy as a beginner book.